Okay, in this video, we're going to do something a little advanced with Excel. We're going to make a pivot table and turn some date-based information into a calendar so that we can more accurately, or at least more easily, see the patterns in some patching history. Just to remind everybody, we've already run the scripts processing, and we've turned our text files into a bunch of Excel spreadsheets. I'm just going to scroll down just a little bit further down here on the documentation website, and this particular content I'm about to address is actually covered here on this page as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up this Windows search result. And we'll start from there again. Let me get this up here, back up here onto the correct monitor. And so we're going to dive right straight into this update history. Now, in the last video, we looked at this, and this is showing the patching history as derived from two sources in the Windows operating system. One is the Windows update log, and the second is a PowerShell command called get hotfix. Now, the reason why we have to do two, that's explained up there in the comment box, if or you can go search and read some of the content online about that as well. But you can see here that we have a bunch of content that looks like a date. And boy, it sure would be nice if I could view this as a calendar. Okay. Now, the first thing I'll point out is even though this looks like a date, it's actually not a date. It's actually just text. And this just seems to be a limitation with Excel. Whenever you import the content as a CSV or you create something that looks like a date, but you didn't, for whatever reason, the date format doesn't always stick when you create it from someplace other than Excel. And obviously, we're using Python to create all of these Excel spreadsheets programmatically, right? So it looks like a date, but it's not really a date. So how can we convert each of these into a date? Well, we could edit each cell individually, press enter on them, but and you can see now, like it's changed so that it's got slashes in it instead of just having, so you can tell it changed the formatting. But boy, that sure does seem like, and there's a few hundred lines, I think, in this spreadsheet. I'm not going to do that a few hundred times. Here's a trick. A customer actually showed me how to do this. Let's do search and replace. Let's just search for all hyphens and replace them with hyphens, because we know that there's a hyphen in every single field, in every single date field. We're not changing the content, but by the process of the search and replace, Excel is going to make those all dates. 898 replacements. Good job. And now look, they've all got slashes and they're formatted like dates according to my internationalization settings. Okay, so now they are all dates. And we needed that because in the next step, we're going to turn this table into a pivot table that looks like a calendar. And we needed that to be a date field that Excel saw as a date field for it to work. Okay, so we're just going to click anywhere inside of this table. It does not matter. Just click anywhere inside of this table and then go up, Insert, Pivot Table, click OK. That's it. Yay, you've made your first pivot table. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is I need to move my picture of myself out of the way. So we want to take the system name, and we want to put that in as a row. Look, we just added some rows. It's all the systems in this particular table. And then we want to take the date and we want to put that in as a column. Oh, look, now we're getting dates going across the side. And then we just need something that we can count, something that has text in every single cell that we're not using somewhere else. So like we could use match text, we could use description, we could use KB_num, it doesn't matter, any of the three, right? As long as it's something that has some content in every single row, as long as there's, that's the only criteria that we need to meet. Now look, we've got this calendar building out, Now I like to hide this stuff, grand total, it just clutters up. And then the same thing, if we expose this out, we don't need the end of year total, remove subtotal years. And then the same thing, if we expand this out, remove subtotal quarters. Okay, so now we're just expanding out, and and it's just done in years, quarters, months, right? And what we're doing, we're just seeing this now as a calendar of patching events. Every time that Windows Update was run or a hotfix was installed, we're getting a count of every single one of those times. Now, this is test data, so and the test data has spanned a period of of years. But if I sit here and I expand each of these out, right? So now I can see that these two systems were patched for 5 months out of the year. This one was patched continuously, but no patches were installed on this one since June of 2024. So for over a year, based on the data on this video. Again, it's test data, so it's probably not real, but you can see how this would be useful in a real audit. If these were systems that have been continuously in service, and the data was just recently collected, that get hotfix data and that Windows Update data goes back to when that operating system was first installed. It is kept by default for the entire life cycle, the entire lifespan of the system where the script was run. So you can get a very accurate picture. And now we're viewing this as a calendar, and it's a lot easier to find the problems. And you might even, if this was your particular style, you might look. I'm pretty sure that's red. And I'm pretty sure, like maybe some of the other ones might be yellow, and so you could, whoops, it didn't actually color. But anyways, you get the idea, right? And so that's how we can use Excel's pivot table feature to create a calendar view of some of this data, and that is a lot more intuitive, a lot more natural format of this kind of data, and help you see the patterns a lot more easily. So that's it for this video. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But other than that, enjoy using the analysis toolkit.